let's welcome our first guest to Spark Infinity Until It Sticks, Brandon Phillips. How you doing, Brandon?
Hi, David. How are you?
I'm always good.
Great. It's such an honor to be on the show. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you. And you actually prepared us with a bunch of questions in advance. So that's making our job super simple. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, happy to help out in some way.
Yeah. Let's start with the basics. Who are you, Brandon?
Who am I? That's a good
Hmm.
question. Well, I'm Brandon Phillips. I originally went to school for music production, and I was in a band through high school. I played piano and keyboard mostly, like kind of an organ blues style. And I did that kind of for fun for a long time. It was not more of a hobby for myself. But eventually I kind of took it seriously and ended up out west and started working on my own music. And now I'm in the process of recording my first album.
You've been learning a lot about music. And so how did you have teachers? You said you went to school for a time. Like what other things have you engaged with?
Well, I guess when I was younger, I took piano lessons. So I did that. Technically when I was 6, but I only did that for a few months. It was something I was my parents just put me in, and I tried it out. And I wanted to play soccer. I was like, oh, that's not really my thing at the time. And then 6 years later, I started playing again just for fun. I picked it up one day in the middle of a grade 8 classroom, just started playing it, and it rekindled my interest. And suddenly I was playing it every day, trying to learn songs on YouTube. Right, my parents put me back in lessons. I did Royal Conservatory up until grade 6, and then I said, well, I'm learning a lot by ear mostly. Like I was mostly just listening to songs and learning to play that way. And I was playing in a band by this point. So I said, hey, I'm going to stop lessons right now and just kind of focus on the band.
Hmm.
And I did that for most of my high school time. So from grade 10 to grade 12. And then by grade 12, the band disbanded. Everyone went their own separate ways. Um, and I opened school for finance originally. I did that first and then hated that. And kind of decided, hey, maybe I should try music out and take that more seriously. And that's when I ended up in music production school and did that for a small portion of time, but didn't even finish that. I
Okay.
just eventually it was just became uh, more about wanting to get some things internally out of myself, and being a producer was more about bringing other people's dreams to life, which is great. And I think it's a special career in its own way. And I think I would do it otherwise, but there's just so much that I have to say still before I can do that.
Jamming and playing in bands is probably one of the best ways for a musician to grow early on, and I think was a wise choice from your development. For context, you kind of mentioned it in passing, but you're on Vancouver Island. Victoria is on Vancouver Island, and some people can't quite fathom or understand what that means. Like, there's about an hour and a half of ocean separating mainland Vancouver and Victoria. It's not that far in the grand scheme of things. I've ferried back and forth quite a bit myself. But so where did you come from, and
Hmm.
why exactly did you end up where you are now?
Right. So I'm originally from Burlington, a small town called Burlington in Ontario, and
Hmm.
the pandemic hit in 2020, and at that time I was working at a grocery store, so it was one of those essential services, and I got kind of depressed. I wasn't in a really good place mentally, and I had kind of gone through some things relationship wise that have also affected me at that time.
Hmm.
And my friends, I couldn't really see any of my friends. Everyone was isolating, but I had friends living in BC. They moved out here a year before I did, and they said, "Hey, maybe being in a better place might make things better for you." And I said, "Hey, maybe you're right." So I came out here, kind of looking for answers, not really knowing what I wanted to do, especially after dropping out of school twice. Right, like I dropped out of music production school, I dropped out of um, accounting school. It was like I kind of felt lost in some way. So I came out here looking for myself. And the friends that I ended up meeting here just like kind of didn't want to spend time with me anymore. Like we kind of separated, and
Hmm.
so I ended up by myself out here. But in the end, I discovered what it is that I was truly passionate about, and I don't regret a single bit of it because I discovered that.
That's amazing. And I kind of know what you mean because I think I
Thank you.
ended up moving for similar reasons. You can
Mm.
be in a certain city, but your experience of it can be sullied by events and circumstances that occur, breakups or illness or deaths in the family or whatever it might be. And then you think to yourself, the ghosts of the past are the ghosts of the past. And if I want to change or move on, I might have to do a change of environment, clean
Mm.
slate. And that comes with challenges too. I'm sure you experienced that. You said that you weren't hanging out with the friends you used to, and that happened to me too.
Mm.
But it took a while to get established. So how's that been for you?
It's certainly been a challenge, right? I
Mm.
think once I got here and I discovered that music was really something I wanted to pursue, I spent a lot of time just by myself writing these songs and focusing on perfecting them. And I spent a lot of time by myself. I was very isolated. And when it finally came time to put myself out there, I didn't really know anybody here. And it became harder to really present myself to people, be like, hey, this is me. So that's been a challenge. And I think because of the pandemic, people are a little bit more closed off. Like it's harder for people to make eye contact. There were days when I would start conversations with people on the bus and it would just be this casual conversation, and just a normal thing. But now you try and do that today, everyone looks at you like you're a crazy person, or like you're disturbing them. It's not quite the same warmth, but I'm doing my best. I still try to do that where I can and meet people. And yeah, I think I just have tried to make the most of it.
Yeah, once the pandemic was over, I kind of went back to normal life without a whole lot of forethought. And even though, masks and things were not mandated anymore, I was jumping from Airbnb to Airbnb. So occasionally there would be hosts that were like, yeah, you need to wear a mask in here. And I'm like, huh? So
Right.
there was still quite a bit of discomfort. And as you say, again, I don't give it a whole lot of thought, but there's still people that have a lot of discomfort. I think one
Mhm.
thing I do relate to in that though is like you get so used to maybe talking on Zoom, which initially feels really weird. And then you realize that life conversations in real life sort of go at their own pace. They're at a completely different pace. They're almost faster in real life than they are over Zoom.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that can be off-putting, of course, after 2 years of maybe just watching YouTube and Netflix the whole time.
Right. Absolutely. It has an effect on people, like passively in ways that we don't really understand yet, I think. And, one of my songs, Running from the Wolves, is a kind of about running from media and that kind of influence. So it's interesting that you brought that up. But yeah.
I like that. People that have passions, we tend to go pretty deep on the things that we learn and oftentimes actually don't give a whole lot of time or space in our schedules for other things, as valuable as that can be. At one point, it said that John Denver was running out of songs and he didn't know what to do. So he turns to Tony Robbins. And Tony says, well, what were you doing when those songs came to you? And John was like, oh, I was skiing. And John
Mm.
Denver gets back to skiing and suddenly the songs start coming again. And
No
I say
kidding.
all that to kind of ask you, like, well, what do you like to do in your spare time?
Hmm. Well, when I'm not hammering away at the keys, I'm usually out in nature somewhere. I'm usually swimming. I'm sitting on a beach. I'm staring at rock. I'm just observing nature, and I've been so inspired by it being here that it just fascinates me. I that is what I do most of the time. But if I'm not doing that, then maybe I'm probably playing a video game. But even then, I'm playing some explorer video game where you're making some sort of like solo adventure versus a shooting game where you're competing against people. Like I'm an adventure.
I think I love the whole nature angle. That's kind of my want as well, to get out into nature. I think 2 hours per week is kind of ideal. And the island is a fascinating place for that. Various landscapes for sure. I drove across the island and I set the craziest and stupidest of goals, or just let's just say ridiculous. I think that's the correct term here. But I noticed that there were, in Canmore, or when I used to live in Calgary, we'd go to Canmore to the Spice Hut, and that's an Indian chain.
Right.
And there's 5 of them on Vancouver Island. So I drove all the way across just to hit up every single location while I
Amazing.
was living there. Yeah, because I was living in Nanaimo till June.
Oh, okay. Yeah, really nice place. I did visit there, but only once. Yeah, it's quite nice.
It is. It is. It's not a place for me to live, I don't feel, but for me, I'm not probably quite as settled as the people living there. It's either, I would say, people in their 50s, 60s, or older families living
Mhm.
there. So,
That reminds me of my hometown. Quite the same.
yeah,
Like it's just a lot of families and elderly. Nothing going on. People actually call it Warrington. Yeah.
for sure. But I would visit the island again willingly. My next destination will be Sunshine Coast, but if there's any
Wow.
reason to go back to the island, I will. So, you got your first album. Is it on the way or is it in the works?
It's currently in the works, but I guess it's both. It's in the works and on the way.
It's called The Sunshower. So, and there's always a
Right.
meaning behind the title, or even if it's surface level, there's always a meaning. I'm guessing there's something deeper though. So, what does that mean to you?
Right. Well, I this like a do you know what a sunshower is? Like when it's when it's sunny and rainy at the same time, right?
Mm,
But the sunshower is it's like a one-time apocalyptic event on Earth where the sun is imploding and pieces of the sun is breaking off and headed towards Earth. And this is causing massive evaporation of the ocean and like there's rays of light that's piercing through the clouds, and it's burning the ground. It's like scorching the earth. And it's like, yeah, it's like the sun is raining rather than the rain is coming from the clouds. It's kind of how I imagined it. And it's kind of a symbol of balance in life and how there's good and bad and how you have to accept every part of that. And yeah, you have to kind of make the most of it, and that there's beauty in that.
The thing that I'm recounting right now, or the thing that it made me think of, was a dream I had when I was a kid. I would have been playing Mega Man 4, which is a great game. And then one night I had this dream of the world coming to an end. And I couldn't play Mega Man 4 for probably a week because that dream was kind of triggered simultaneously. So that's what that made me think of a bit.
Oh no, well, I hate to terrify you, but
No, I think I have a different, now that I've been here a while, I think I have a different perspective on this experience we call life. But certainly back then it would have been a little scary.
in this vision I see, right? It's like this beautiful scene in some way. You know, it looks like angelic light is coming down. Like it's so bright that it's white almost, and you can't help but feel like there's some sort of goodness in it in some way. It's a strange reflection on the scene.
You know, someone that I used to play a lot with on lead guitar is my buddy Jonathan Ferguson in Calgary. I don't want to give away too much about his songs and their meanings because I'm not sure he would want. I think he wants people to listen and to be challenged. But he did have a song called Fireworks, and so let's just say that song was kind of similar in concept.
Oh, nice! I'm gonna have to check that out then.
Well, it's a cool song. What other inspirations went into the creation of this album?
Well, quite a few things. First thing is probably one that I already mentioned, which is nature. Like the first time, the Sunshower. I always name my albums after an instrumental song on the album, so there's always going to be one. And the Sunshower, the first song, it was probably grade 12. I want to say it was either grade 11 or grade 12, and I was observing a sunshower occurring in my hometown, and I just kind of heard the melody in my head, like the main riff. It just came to me, and I said, "This is something that I need to expand upon to an extreme level. Like just keep expanding on it." And it kind of all went from there. I've always taken inspiration from nature. Running from the Wolves, for instance, is wolves. That's another example. The Grass is Greener is another one of my songs, which is about a field of grass, right? The grass is greener, it's about that metaphor. And Bubbles on the Lawn, that's again a field. Waters Below, water, oceans. I'm very inspired by nature for sure. But also my personal experiences and connecting nature with my relationships and some of the darkness in my life.
I know that your music is largely piano and keyboard based, and I don't know exactly how that plays into production. I sometimes add keyboard parts to my songs, but my songs are largely guitar driven. So how is production coming along, and where are things at the moment?
Right. So I'm doing it as a multi-track sort of recording. So it's not necessarily a live room where all the musicians are in the one room together and we're all playing at the same time and have microphones for each person. It's more, we're going to do drums first and then piano second, and then so on and so on and so on. So far, we've got basically just the drums and the piano, which is not that much, but it's enough to create the skeleton of the song because they were birthed from the piano. So from here, it becomes easier to expand upon. And we are tracking the guitar and bass next week. And I'm estimating probably beginning of next year, I can release it. That's my estimate. But yeah, it's definitely slower moving than I expected, but there's just so many moving parts, right? There's so many people involved. There's so much planning that goes into getting everybody in the same room and working with schedules and making sure that the musicians kind of understand the composition and how they're involved in the piece is just a lot to communicate, and it takes some time, you know? And they have to practice, right? It's a very long process, but so far it's really steady, and I'm really happy with what I've done so far. And yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic when it's finally out.
That's what I remember about my first album and the production of it as well. It felt kind of slow moving. Some of that was on me, just not doing enough of the initiation to get everybody in the room. I think that's why I ultimately ended up learning how to produce myself, because sort of having to rely on that many moving pieces drove me nuts after a while. It just wasn't the efficiency I was looking for. I think that there's always a trade-off. And if you have an outside perspective and an engineer and a producer helping you, or other people helping you along the way, what you end up shaping can be magical and sometimes so much better than what you would do alone. So that's sometimes the trade-off.
Right. I think that's where it is for me. Like, I know I could try and play all the parts myself, but that I wouldn't have a product that I'm really satisfied with. Like, I'd be like, hey, I'm not a violinist. I'm not a I'm not a guitarist. I'm not a drummer. I wouldn't be able to execute the way that I'd want. I'm somebody who plays the drums would.
Yeah, I certainly
So
wouldn't attempt a violin either.
yeah, it's like way over my head.
Yeah.
But I'll write the music for it. But yeah.
So, the imagery you painted is sort of like the beautiful end of the world with the
Mhm.
overall concept of the album. Do the songs kind of follow in a similar theme, or what other themes are reflected in the music?
It's definitely this oxymoronic kind of feel to the album. Like you'll go from this graceful, peaceful setting to like happy dancing to now really sad and really depressed, and then really happy again, and then really sad, and then really depressed. It does bounce around in that way to reflect that feeling of balance. But I think that the ordering of the songs more follow my own story of like being in a dark place and coming here and kind of discovering myself and then reflecting on the things that I've learned. It's not really something that I think people will recognize necessarily. Like if you listen to the album, you wouldn't really say, "Oh, this is when Brandon did this, and this is when Brandon did this." You'd probably be like, "Hey, I see this oxymoronic kind of reflection of back and forth." And I think that that's what people will notice about it. But
Almost like duality,
yeah, absolutely.
which is not an uncommon theme in music, but when it's done well, so one of my favorite albums ever made was basically about that. And the way they expressed it was doppelganger, because there's always a counterpart to who you are. And that was Daniel Amos's doppelganger. So obscure. And I don't know what people might be wondering, but I don't listen to Christian music all the time. But this was a Christian band that was way ahead of its time. That's why they never gained any popularity, because they were playing new wave music when people just wanted to hear hymnals. And I think that's one of the most underrated but brilliant new wave albums ever made. It's like dark wave, if such a thing
Dark
existed,
wave.
and it didn't exist. Yeah,
Interesting. Interesting. You'll have to send me that.
I
Send me a
will.
link.
Send me a reminder about that for sure. And it sounds like you're going to put some promotional effort behind this, which, for someone like me that has so many projects, I'm sometimes torn. It's like if I'm releasing 4 things in a year, then I kind of have to pick and choose which one I'm actually going to promote. But
Right.
that's the commitment that sometimes we have to make. Again, a kind of a trade-off, right? As artists. And it sounds like you're going to put some promotional effort behind this. So what's your thought on, or what are you planning for your release show and tour and so forth?
Right. So I guess my first objective would be to get the album on streaming services, like make it publicly available to people, and just get that everywhere. But I also have some music video plans, so I'm releasing my single "Whispering Man" first, hopefully with the music video, but we'll see. Kind of depends on how things line up. And then I have other music video plans as well, and I'm hoping that the combination of the videos might help to collectively market it. But to specific I have specific markets in mind for certain songs. For instance, Whispering Man is this song about having a fantastic day and chilling on the beach and going to a party at night, and it's like the synth dance song, right? I'm thinking this would be great for a like a vacation commercial or some kind of like Expedia.ca, like some sort of place where people like to vacation. And Running from the Wolves is more of this like cinematic rock song, and I think it'd be great in really a lot of film where people are running or like a chase scene. Somebody suggested like a video game boss battle fight. Like this is the kind of vibes that they're getting from this. So I can see definitely a lot of film being a possibility for a lot of my music. It's not traditionally like pop music that goes on the radio and stays in 4/4 time and plays to a 4/4 kick. Like it's music that changes tempo and changes time signature and swells with a lot of orchestral instrumentation. So it's not really stuff that's necessarily featured in common everyday stuff, right? It's more tuned to creating specific scenarios and visions and enhancing other art. I think is where its strength is.
I haven't heard of too many artists segmenting their music in that way. And I think that's pretty smart, as far as, okay, this music could go with this kind of scenery. And in fact, you can even make that a reality yourself using like stock footage before it's ever in a film, just to give people a feel for what that's going to look like. So,
Wow, that's good advice. Wow,
yeah,
that's a good idea.
I see an opportunity there.
I'm gonna have to work with you on that, my friend.
Absolutely.
We have some ideas.
Uh-huh. And it sounds like music placement is sort of a key part of your strategy. Like, what is your mental framework around that right now?
It's definitely my major priority, right? I don't think that my music is going to radio. I don't think it's going to be a #1 hit, right? It's not going to take off like other music necessarily. But I think it has its place, and I need to focus on getting it directly in those places. It's my main goal for sure. I'd eventually like to use it to build my resume and score specifically for film. Like be somebody who writes like an entire film score. it takes time to get to that point, and I need to build a resume.
Well, definitely. I mean, you're in the right place, right time. I am an award-winning composer. That happened through the
Cool.
pandemic, and it was not expected. But at the same time, when I put the finishing touches on that music, I said to myself, "This could be the best thing I've ever done." And then I listened to it again and thought it was. But it's funny how things that seem so obvious to you can sometimes you're just like, it's all right. But then people love it,
Right.
so you just never know. You never know where that's going to go. And then you're already thinking about album number 2, and it sounds like maybe you even have like themes in mind or specific steps you're taking on a journey you're taking your audience on, and that's Crab Grip. So,
Right. Yeah.
what do you have planned for this album?
Oh my. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. It's an interesting name, interesting concept.
Mhm.
I even actually have a third album planned as well. I've got
Oh,
a total of 3 planned, but Crab Grip is my second step. But yeah, it's heavily inspired by this incident with my sister when we were younger. We were in Mexico, and a crab stuck itself to my sister's belly when we were swimming in the ocean. And she was screaming and yelling, and I remember the scene very clearly. And then I expanded upon it in this kind of strange way where I imagined the crab as this King Kong sized crab, like enormous red mutant crab attacking Los Angeles, right? And the police and the army are there, and they're firing at this crab at a zero effect, right? The crab's hitting the ground. There's sand flying everywhere, right? And there's a woman in one of the crab's claws, just holding this woman. And there's helicopters, and there's it's this crazy scene. And I thought to myself, what does this mean? Like this is just crazy talk. What does this actually mean to me? And then I realized that it means absolutely nothing. It is complete distortion of my reality. And I decided
Hmm.
to base the album on my grip on my own reality and recognizing the truths in my own life. And so the album begins with this really just it's more of like this psych rock grunge album where
Ooh.
it's kind of a completely different take on what I'm doing. And yeah, it begins in this distorted grunge rock based style and slowly becomes this crystal clear, present, like more simplistic, atmospheric based music. And it all symbolizes this coming to reality of myself and reality of my own reality.
I like this idea of an album trilogy. I would encourage you to follow through it and make it happen no matter what. Because you might encounter some things along the way that make you go, I don't want to do this. But
Right.
but do it. Follow through. This is where you see tremendous growth.
Thank you so much. I absolutely will. I absolutely will try. The
Mm.
the instrumental, right? Every album that I make is based off the instrumental, right? So this crab song that I have, it's 5 fingers that I'm using to play the piano, times 2 to make the 10 limbs of a crab. So the riff is 10
Mm.
notes, and there's like castanets in the song, going like this, like a crab, like snapping sounds, and there's like boats clanking, water splashing, like this
Wow.
atmospheric, like sandy based, chill beach scene is what I'm imagining, and I'm gonna recreate it using music.
The other imagery that came to mind for me was crabs in a bucket, right?
Ah,
People holding
right,
each other
yeah,
back. And maybe that applies, maybe not. But
definitely the clanking of the steel in the boats, right? Like some definitely for sure.
yeah. I've got a few more questions for Brandon before we get into some of his questions for me. But Susanna, is there some things you'd like to ask Brandon?
I've been very inspired by your music. Are you gonna play or are we gonna listen to any of your music right now on this podcast? I would love
Right?
to know. Not
Oh
right now,
my.
but in this soon because I'm very curious and like like with regards to like running away from the wolves. I hear like
Mm.
I have a friend who's like been telling me about sometimes we have different wolves in our life. Like which mouth are you feeding right
Right.
now? That she told me right now. And if she's watching this right now, oh she knows who she is. Anyway, but it's like running away from the wolves. Like it just kind of reminds me of that. And I love playing video games, and I think it would be great to actually have your music play in video games. Is it going to be on Spotify soon? Maybe to like it would be great to have like all the gamers get together and like hear your music, and then they say, okay, this will be good for this game or this game. I think
Right. Ah,
I
that's
think
that's
that
a
would
good
be a
idea.
great suggestion. Like if you were to create that, and then full of gamers, and that they find out, and then they could be your committed listeners. Um,
Right. Yeah. Like a very like a target group, right?
yeah, like a
Gamers.
test
Yeah.
group. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, like a test group. And it's like, oh, this would be good at this. You should approach this next, or something like that, right? So
Right. So
yeah,
my friend Colleen, she suggested to me that I should try streaming my music on Twitch, right? And I know Twitch is
yeah,
very popular amongst gamers,
oh
so
yeah,
that may be a
100%.
way to connect in that way, right?
Hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, that's such a great idea. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. Other than that, I don't think I have. If I think of any questions, I'll let you know. Yeah.
Oh, sounds great. Well,
Yeah, and
thank you so
I mean,
much.
there is one more thing actually. I'm sorry, I lied about
Okay.
that. So like, I actually can very much connect with being isolated. Like in my own life, I felt like there was this point in time where everybody was. I felt like everybody was against me, and then I was roaming around high school, looking for friends, looking for the meaning of life, and then going from one place to another, searching for answers.
Right.
You said to me, or you said to us, that regards like to your music, it's the amount for searching. Is there a track that says searching for answers?
Well, yes, there is a one song on the album called Journey Begins, which is about, it's like in the middle of the album. Normally you'd expect the journey to begin at the beginning, but no. I had to go through this rough time. And then the
Mhm.
journey begins, which is this encouraging song about overcoming your fears of what's to come and following your dream, like just doing what it is that you're afraid of.
Right.
And never the quote is, the rays go on, right?
Hmm.
Keep following those rays and never stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would love, like, as a really like good request, I would love to have like a song that says searching for answers. I mean, everybody can like relate to that one, right? So yeah.
Right.
Right. That's
Absolutely.
it. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Some good thoughts there for sure. And I've definitely looked into the video game community angle myself. So there's lots we
Okay.
could talk about there if we wanted to. Our community is made up of people who are looking to grow on social media. And so there's a few questions that I'd love to ask on that topic. For you, how much of a role does social media play in your career right now? And how much do you see it playing in the future?
Well, the thing about social media is it's one of those wolves that I'm running from.
Mhm.
That's a part of the problem, is that it's kind of something that I have to do, but not something that I necessarily enjoy doing. And probably the thing that I like the least about being a musician and trying to make myself known. Um, but I know that it's very important, and that people, especially like a lot of the people that know me and like listen to my music, are people that I don't even know online. And it's like
Mm.
the only way that I can reach those people is through the internet and through my social media. And so I think about those people and that they're kind of relying on me and believe in me, and that I have to post for them sometimes. And that's why it's important to me. But I know that it should be more important. It should be more prioritized, because I need to treat my career as a business and kind of grow. But it's kind of hard to put myself in that mindset sometimes. I'm an artist at heart, and I just kind of want to get the ideas out, but I don't necessarily want to be a business owner. There's a reason I left finance school or accounting and finance school. It's not my strong suit, but I know it's something that I need to do.
Yeah. And I think one of the dilemmas, at least that I've been finding, is how much do you show? So a song could
Yeah.
be in the development process and you may not have any other content. And you're like, should I show this whole thing? Like, or should I show this take of this guitar solo that I may not ultimately end up using, but it's still part of the process, part of the journey. Like I believe in documenting the journey. I think that's a wonderful way to approach social media. And yet, how much do you have to dig up from the past? And the other thing is, how much
Yeah.
stuff do you just have to create out of thin air? Because that is a tremendous amount of work. Like if it's stuff you're not already doing as a natural flow as part of your day, then you're having to set aside an hour or whatever to make something for social media.
Right. Right. I try to save social media posts for when something big happens. Something significant in my life happens, and then I will create content around the big thing that happens. But I won't search for the big thing. If it happens, it happens, and if I feel good about it, then I'll post about it.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely like some other artists I know. I mean, they treat their social media feed as a sacred space. They will not post unless there's something to announce or something
Yeah.
to share.
Yeah, it's like I couldn't post like every day. Like I could never be that
Right.
guy. I would have to hire somebody to do that if it came to that point, but it never would. And I would never let myself be in that position.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Although, don't be too down on yourself because I think I see your stuff and I think it's good. So you're doing something
Thank you.
right on social media. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything you find that's working well right for you right now?
It's tough to say, honestly. Like I don't have a very large sample group, so it's hard to tell when things are working and when things aren't. And it's hard to tell, like when you look at the statistics or whatever, like non-followers or followers, I don't know how to interpret that as good or bad either. Like it's just kind of random statistics that mean nothing to me as a casual user. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'm kind of at a loss as to whether things are working or not.
Yeah,
But
as we've talked about. Go
yeah.
ahead.
But at least I'm documenting what's going on. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
people know that I'm still alive and that I'm doing stuff. And I guess that's enough for me.
As we've talked about on this stream before, there are people that are incredible marketers, and they will just look at the numbers and connect the dots and say, "Oh, I found this," and you're like, "I don't know how you came to that conclusion at all, just based on those numbers." So numbers tell a story, but to people who love numbers, what do you think is not working? I kind of get that. Just the very notion of having to post or like being under the gun to post sucks already. But is there anything else that's not really working?
You know, I find that the places I go to play live don't necessarily appeal to my music. Like, you know, if I go to a bar and I play some slow, sad song, people are not really as into that, you know? Or even if I go to a coffee bar, people want like something happy to like listen and enjoy their tea to. But a lot of my music is so interpersonal and introspective that it's way out of the space. It just is totally not meant for that kind of environment. And it's so funny going to places and just seeing people's reactions. But at the same time, it's not really benefiting me as as somebody who's trying to put myself out there. You know, like at least people are hearing my music, but it's just not the right place to hear it. You know, it's fine. It's hard finding a spot for me to actually play live.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why it's so hard for me to actually get footage and post, because it's like it's so weird to go places where people are looking for a good time.
Yeah, Suzanna's been making some suggestions in the chat, coffee shop, library. I think so too.
Right.
The one thing I do notice
Library, interesting. Yeah.
It is kind of weird that, so when I was in Calgary, there were coffee shops to play at. There were coffee shops with stages even. And
Studio.
there were various guerrilla style events happening at different corners of the city. So there was always somewhere to play, whether you were a band or a solo artist or singer-songwriter. I somehow got into the trenches of the singer-songwriter community without really ever intending to, mostly because I couldn't hold the band together. But at least the good part about it was the skills I developed along the way. I was kind of a one-man band, not in the sense that like I have a drum on my stomach and, you know, I'm playing bass with my foot pedals or something like that, but more so just with a single instrument of the guitar and, well, two instruments, my voice. I communicated and expressed a lot, so it wasn't the sound of one man playing, you know. So
right,
one of the skills I gained. When you think about like social media milestones, is there anything specifically you'd like to accomplish? And it might not even be a follower count or anything like that, but is there something you'd love to see happen?
I would really love for my music to reach somewhere across the ocean. You know, like I'd love for somebody just randomly from like, I don't know, France or like Japan be like, you know, whoa, cool song, you know? It's like, well, I reached that far, you know? I'd be pretty shocked about that.
I know people in Japan, so I grew up there.
Okay, we'll talk, Suzanna. Absolutely.
Yeah, Suzanna left some comments about collaboration too.
Oh, fantastic! Yes, yeah. I'm interested.
Good idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Those are the questions I had for you, and you had questions for me, and I love that.
Absolutely,
turned it around. I might even take these and turn them into clips later, depending on how it goes.
Of course. I mean, you're such a wise man, and I've been through so much and have so much experience in the music business and expanding your own individual, like your own business in your own way, right? Like there's so much that I can learn from you, and it's an honor to kind of pick your brain. So thank you for giving me that opportunity. But yeah, I'm curious about what brings you the most joy. Like what makes you the happiest, and what keeps you going?
Yeah, it's good that you presented me with these questions earlier in the day, because otherwise I might have sat here and given you a lot of different answers. My answer to this is great food with great company. That's one of the things that brings me the most joy. I am a total foodie. I love a variety of foods. It seems I always end up going for Asian foods, Japanese, Korean, Indian, etc. Sometimes Pakistani. I guess there's stuff in the Middle East that I love too, but yeah, food's awesome.
Oh, good answer, honestly. Yeah, nothing better than good food and company, honestly. Yeah. And especially curries and stuff. Like my mom is South American, so I grew up on eating like spicy curries all the time. Like that's one of my go-to things.
That's awesome.
But yeah, second question. I was curious about if you had any advice for me on how to start putting myself out there. You kind of went over this a little bit earlier, but you know, if there's any other points that you have about getting my music out, and even, you know, product placement, like my music placement, or you know, other places that I haven't even thought of. If you have any ideas, like I'm totally open, and yeah, I have a lot to learn. So I'd really be blessed if you had any ideas.
Yeah. Again, there's many directions I could take this in, but I've given some thought to this in advance. So what I'm going to point you to is one of my coaching frameworks. And I use this especially with artists who are still in the beginning stages. And it's not that you're in the beginning stage. Like you've developed your craft, so you're ready to go out there, but your first album's not out yet.
Right.
And that means a lot of these pieces aren't necessarily covered. And it's not so much that you personally have to do them, but someone on your team ought to do them and have this foundation. Because when this foundation's not in place, it can be really tough. So this framework, I actually published it to my blog. Of course, it was a few years ago, and it has evolved since then. Let's see if my screen sharing works properly here. There we go.
Oh, wow.
47 questions you must ask if you want to turn pro. I can send you the link to this as well. It was generous of me to publish this for free. No, I say that facetiously, of course, but the framework has evolved. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, even I, these days, might be a no to 2 or 3 questions. So it's actually hard to have all 47 pieces in place. In digital marketing, stuff like, do you have a .com domain name? So do you own BrandonPhillips.com or Brandon Phillips Music?
Right.
Do you have a website? Do you have a press kit on that website? Do you have a blog or any kind of content do you have a plan for that content rollout? Are you building an email list? Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have your Dream 100 identified, which is like 100 influencers, bloggers, YouTubers, reviewers, even musicians that you look up to? Do you have a list of 100 that you want to build a relationship with? And if you talk to Russell Brunson, he'll often say, I usually have 300 or 400, depending on my project. And it's understandable, because if you were aiming for Tony Robbins, well, you can build a relationship with him, but that might take 10 years. There's a lot of people at your level or a little bit above that you could build a relationship with today.
Right.
So yeah, there's 47 pieces here on finances, on personal growth, on personality, on health and recreation. And you got a good head start on that, it sounds like, and on your mission as well.
Wow.
So,
wow, that's such great information there, Andrew. David, Andrew, holy, like so much going on there. Holy.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to point you to one thing, because there's 47 things in the one thing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I'm going to read through that thoroughly, take some tips down, write down what I need to do. Like, holy, that's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let me know how it goes with that framework.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess my last question is something that I personally really struggle with. You know, as a songwriter, sometimes I struggle with demotivation. You know, it's like I struggle sometimes just getting out of bed, or even going to the piano and hammering away at the keys, like just working through a song. Sometimes I just don't feel like it. You know, what would be your advice on overcoming that demotivation and, you know, taking that step?
Yeah. I gave you a bit of a different answer before the show because we had a chance to chat for a bit. And so my answer here is everything that anyone has said about you that's positive on social media and text messages and emails, take a screenshot, save it to a folder on your hard drive, and print it all out and put it in a binder. And that's your bad day binder. You got to look through it and read it and remind yourself to do that. Because those testimonials, those quotes, those notes of praise, notes of encouragement from people are the reason that you end up doing it and continuing.
Well, that's a fantastic answer, and I completely agree. You know, there's a lyric from my song that mentions one of my songs it's called "Finally Awake." It's about recognizing my ability and who it is that I'm meant to be. And there's a line in it that says, "There are many people waiting for me to see it through." So sometimes I think about that line, and that really connects with what you said, and that really does help me. So thank you.
Thank you for coming prepared with those questions. It's great. So we don't have to end it here. We can talk about whatever we want to talk about. If anybody has questions, if anybody has any closing thoughts, you're definitely free to voice them. And otherwise, like, this has been a fantastic chat today. I really appreciate it. And like, I think I said it in the PDF document, but like, we are here to help you, right? And if there's anything else we can do, Spark Infinities is here to help the artistic community. So
you guys are amazing. Yeah, thank you so much.
A people of our word and follow through on that. So
it's truly been an honor being here and discussing this with you guys. Like, thank you so much. And yeah, I've learned a lot of things and taken a lot of things into consideration, and hopefully I'll be working with Suzanna soon. And yeah, I'm very, very grateful. So thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Any closing thoughts for you, Suzanna?
Maybe we could do the Spark Infinity, like, you know, with artists creating their music and then artists actually drawing on just like a small portion. Maybe, I don't know, Spark Infinity artistic space or something like that. That's what I was thinking.
Spark Infinity whiteboard.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get like artists and musicians, and then when artists together and creating and then displaying their music and displaying the art that they do, right? So
Right.
just an idea.
That would be really cool. Yeah, like creating an image, like
Yeah.
seeing a visual and then creating a song based on the image. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Music
Like,
prompts.
just free flow of, whatever that comes to mind in their, with the music and everything, right? So, yeah.
Spark Infinity
Totally.
jams.
It's such a cool idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, two things I will mention, because I think I didn't explain it very well in the intro, but it always takes a couple of minutes to settle into these live streams. So there's the Spark Infinity Facebook group. This is a place where the conversation continues in between shows. We mostly just are posting announcements of when the live streams are coming up and who's going to be on them, but we encourage everyone to join that Facebook group. That's how we grow. Growth is not on us. We're not trying to grow. We're trying to grow together. And that means we all got to pitch in and to make this happen. So join the group, invite all your artist friends to join the group, and we'll make that happen. And then the other thing that was pretty much literally launched a few days ago is the Spark Infinity Inner Circle. And this is where private forum conversations happen. And it's specifically for people who want to grow their following, especially on Instagram, because that's the main thing that we're covering right now. However, it really is for any artist or any entrepreneur that wants to continue this conversation in a private environment where they can collaborate, they can ask questions, they can peruse stuff like my Instagram playbook, various resources and tools you can use to grow your account, and a lot of other great content, even AI prompts I'm preparing, and we'll be posting that as well. Some of the stuff I'm using for Instagram captions. So that's where you can get all that info.
Amazing. Yes, I got to get in that group, actually. I'm going to do that after this.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great chatting with you, Brandon. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for being here, Suzanna. This has been fantastic. And maybe
you
we'll
so
even
much.
continue this at the holiday hangout. I think that's December 19th. I don't have a good sense of when the Thursdays are. I don't do that math, but that's coming up, and it's going to be an open invitation. It could be total chaos, but we'll see. It'll be an open invitation. Drop in for 5-10 minutes and share whatever you want to share. So we'll be doing that as well coming up. So if you want to come back for that, you're totally invited.
Oh, cool. Nice. I would love to.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you so much for joining this live stream, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching. As a creator myself, I know how hard it can be to make your goals and dreams a reality. I'm here to help you share your work, build a fan base, and turn your passion into profit. Now, sometimes I don't hit it out of the park with my content, and I know that, but trust me, I am listening. So if you stick with me, sometimes I totally strike out, but if you stick with me, I promise I'm going to deliver the kind of stuff that's going to help you get to where you want to go, because I'm always listening. If I can ask you to do something real quick, it only takes a second. If you could subscribe to this channel, it makes all the difference in the world. I'm going to be delivering more great stuff for you. And like I said, some of it might miss the mark a bit, but as much as possible, I'm trying to bring you what you need to make your career a success. So subscribe now. Thank you so much for watching.